Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Deal, where we discuss business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. My name is Lacey Labs, and I'm here with Laura Martin, your co-host for this show. In today's episode, we're pleased to get to speak with Beth Peiffer, owner of Ralph E. Jones, Inc., a commercial painting company. Beth's company is her family's business that has been handed down through generations and is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. Ralph E. Jones, Inc. is well known in central Pennsylvania for their dedication to detail and quality of service. Tune into this episode to hear more about Beth's entrepreneurial journey, the commercial construction contracting experiences that she shares, her future plans in business, and what advice she would give to younger entrepreneurs and business owners. Beth Peiffer, welcome to Beyond the Deal. We're so excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
we're excited to be here.
Glad to have you. We'd love to get started by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, how you got started working in Ralph E. Jones, Inc., and what it's like to be a business owner, and anything you'd like to share us about your story of how you got to today personally.
Well, I got started in the business. Actually, it was a family business, and I would be the kid who would help out in the summertime, over Christmas break. And it was my father's business. He was in World War II. And when they came back from World War II, they needed jobs. And back then it was harder to find them. And so he and my uncle landed at the business, which was started by a gentleman named Ralph Jones. It was started in 1924. So we're currently celebrating our 100th year in business. And so my dad, my uncle worked there. And it was around 47 or 48, Ralph Jones passed away. And my dad and my uncle and 5 other gentlemen purchased the business out of the estate. And so my dad and these gentlemen, they operated the business as the owners. And my dad had the distinct pleasure of buying out all of his partners over the years. And then he had it for about 25 years. And I came in and I was working with him. I was always one of those kids, I don't know if I ever knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew the family business was always there. And I think that's what a lot of kids do with family businesses. So I came to work for him full time, and it was really fun. I loved working with my dad. I learned so much from him. He was a super, super smart man. Back in the day, he didn't have the opportunity to go to college or anything like that, but you don't need to. And I think we're all learning that now.
Right.
Nowadays, that the trades are really where it's at right now. So I took over the business. I purchased it from my dad in 2011. And he was around pretty much till the day he passed away. He came in, and even though he wasn't active in it anymore, he came in just to talk. He was a real chatty person, and he was my best friend, and he helped us a lot with it. And, it's funny because I have 2 pictures, one at home and one in my office. And it's a picture of my dad and I when I was 6 years old. And my parents were putting an addition on their home. And Dad and I were up on the scaffolding painting. And it's a really cute picture. And it's kind of just in the blood.
You grew up in it. Did you ever do anything else, or you've always been in the family business?
No, I worked in insurance. I sold insurance for a year, which I really liked. And I actually thought I wanted to have my own agency. And then Dad was like, why don't you just come and work for me? I'm like, okay. I didn't really know if that's what I wanted to do. So, and it was interesting because I was in the process when I was married. I was moving away from the business because we were living in New York. So I was back and forth a lot. And my ex and I, we were planning to stay in New York, and that's where I was going to be. And I was moving away from it. And then marital things happened, and it's like, you know what? No, I'm going to come back. And that's when I ended up buying the business. And I always said part of the issue, I said, I'm an only child. I need to take care of my parents, and it's going to be really hard for me to do this from New York. So I came back, and I have no regrets. I have absolutely 0 regrets. And that's actually a story I really don't tell people. I never have publicly, to be honest. This is the first time. But
I know you love New York City.
I do. It's my favorite place. So, yeah.
So cool. Thanks for sharing, Beth. That's a really neat way to get started. You said that you love it and you loved working with your dad. Is there anything specifically about the work or the business that just draws you in and gives you passion for you do now, day in and day out?
It's a challenge. It's a true challenge. It's one of my dad always said to me, he said, you have your education, you can go work anywhere, do anything you want. Anything would be easier than this business. And he's probably right. Mm-hmm. It's very challenging. A lot of times people we're up against when we're looking at projects, they're two guys in a pickup truck operating out of their house. Mm-hmm. I have an office. I have a warehouse, full of paint. I have vehicles. We pay benefits. I'm up against all of this. Mm-hmm. But what I like about it, I've never been bored. Never. I've never had a boring day at this business. And I like the construction aspect of it, whether you look at the whole life cycle of a construction project and all the different trades, or you just zoom in on my trade and the whole process of start to completion and getting paid, that whole job process and how it goes. It's fascinating, and there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of details, and I can see how a lot of people would fail at construction and not be around 100 years. I can see it's very easy to go under in this type of industry. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have to change, with the times too.
You do.
I'm curious. I was thinking about some of the projects I know that you've done, but what are some of the favorite projects that you've done that, that really you enjoyed or thought were special?
I mean, our favorite's State Capitol.
That's what I was thinking.
Hands down. And I think we're going to get another project in there. So I'm excited about that. But we've been in and out of there. I mean, honestly, I was thinking about it. Pretty much, I would say 90% of the buildings around the area we've probably been in over the course of our tenure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. But it was a real privilege to work in the State Capitol. No doubt about it. That beautiful, beautiful, it's one of the most beautiful capitals in the country.
I agree.
That was a true honor. I like all of them. They're all different. We just finished we do some residential work. It's not our forte, but we do it. And we just completed a project for an individual, and her husband passed away. We didn't know her husband, but he worked for a company that we do a lot of work with. So there was sort of a connection there, and that's how she called us. And it was a real privilege. I feel good about our projects because we know we're going to deliver a quality service to people. They don't have to worry about it when it gets in our hands. I mean, we've never defaulted on a project. And I think if you count up over the years, I'm sure we've completed over 20,000 jobs easily. And it just makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. I like all the projects. They're different. We do a lot of work in hospitals. We've done a lot in office buildings. We've done residential work. A lot of times on different projects, there's a lot of wood that needs to be stained. So these big shipments of wood come in our shop, and we're staining it in there. I'm trying to think of back in the day, back when I first started at the company, we used to do a lot of work at Hershey Park. And painting the Comet roller coaster. I mean, different things. We painted the Super Duper Looper when it was put up. So a lot of different projects over the years.
Now, are you seeing people doing much with wallpaper anymore, or is that kind of...
No, it's back. We're seeing a lot of it, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's fun.
How big is your territory?
Pennsylvania, but we stay out of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh proper because we're just not equipped to do the work there, and Maryland. We've done work in the past, which we're not certified right now, but we could go there if we wanted to. I could certify again, but we've done work in Delaware, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia. I mean,
wow,
pretty much wherever people need us to go right now. We've kind of stayed in Pennsylvania and Maryland, though.
Yeah. And your painters, I don't know, is that what you call them? Like
our field crew, our painters, yeah.
Do they tend to come and stay? I mean, is that something where it's kind of a career? Or does it really vary?
No, they stay. We are a union contractor. We're one of two in the area, which is another challenge. But I always say I'm happy I'm a union contractor because we provide for the families. They have full benefits. They have good pay. You know, a lot of people that do what I do, they're paying people cash under the table. That's it. Like, we're providing for families. And we have a really great crew right now. Really, really solid crew. They usually stay. We've had second and third generations in the field coming through over the years.
Now, if someone's new to that, but they're interested in doing that for a career, do you guys do kind of on-the-job training, or
we
does that work?
The union provides, we have an apprenticeship program. So a lot of it is on the job, but then there's a formal education component of it.
Wow.
Yeah, we're actually getting ready to do some safety training. We're going to do that in our shop in February. We're going to do that. And we're going to do some wall covering training. So, yeah.
I remember back in the day, they used to spray paint walls. It was like a fixture. Do they still do that anymore?
Acrovin, Polymix.
It was like Polymix.
Yeah. No, it's not used much anymore because what they've seen, it's hard to remove. Once, like, you can remove wall covering and there might be some glue there or something, but you can overcome that. This one's a little bit tougher.
And I always thought if you had to patch it, I think that could be a challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's like 3 different paints that you're spraying at one time.
Yeah. We used to do a lot of that back in the day. Haven't heard that term in a while.
Dating myself.
Me too, Laura.
So, as you've grown and as you've been part of this, how long have you said 2011, is that right?
That's when I purchased the company from my dad, yes.
Right, and you've been in it for a while before that, but
yes,
since 2011. What are some of the key factors that you see as being critical to your success and continued success as a company that's been around for 100 years now?
I mean, I think it's professionalism. I think it's the quality of the service that we're providing and standing behind that service. I think it's the caliber of individuals that I have out on the job site that are doing the work. I mean, our bucket, our logo says work that speaks for itself. And
I love your logo.
They're speaking for us. So yeah. But I think that's the key component. It's all about the people. It's all about the field crew more than anything.
So do you have times where like everyone's in the office, or is that pretty rare? Most people are in the job field.
No, most people are in the field. There's only a few of us in the office, and I want to keep it that way. Yeah.
With your mascot, right?
My mascot. We have 3 rescues that live in the office, and one of them was Ralphie Jones. He and Cassie were the first 2 that we adopted.
Did you get them as kittens?
No. Well, Ralphie was a kitten. Cassie was not. And they're both in heaven now. So, but we have 3 new ones, and we have outdoor cats that we take care of, and they make it fun. You can be in the middle of something and be maybe a little frustrated or something, then they come along and you're just like, okay, it's okay.
And do they live there full time?
They live there full time. Yes.
You know, when you had Ralphie, did he go with you home and back?
He did. Ralphie, that's when I was going through my divorce and the Great Recession and all the challenging personal times, let's put it that way. And he did go back and forth with me. And it was at Christmas time. My parents, they were snowbirds, and they said, well, we're going to Florida. And I said, I can't come down. I just moved 2 weeks ago. There's no way I can come down. So I took Ralphie home with me for Christmas, and that's when he stayed home with me. And he was, I think we all have that animal in our lives that has gone through pretty much everything with you. That was Ralphie.
How old was he?
He was only 10.
Oh.
He had lymphoma, which was really heartbreaking. Yeah. That's very young for a kitty.
Yeah,
that is. Yeah.
He lived a good life.
He certainly did.
So I was at your shop once, and she's like a heated cat house, so if the strays can come get warm in the winter.
And a heated water bowl. Yeah, we take care of them.
Really do.
There's a lot in Pembroke where my office is.
Has your office always been there?
There were 2 offices. When the company was first started, there was a union and a non-union shop.
Oh.
And the company actually started in Lemoyne. So, yeah.
And over the years, the non-union just went away?
I don't know the history of that,
Okay.
but we ended up being a union shop in Pembroke. So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I remember times where it was seemed more contentious. The kind of when I built a building once for a company I worked for, and some were union, some were non-union, but I haven't really witnessed that so much. And maybe I'm more removed from it, but
Well, I mean, like I said, there were only 2 union contractors that do what I do in our area. Basically, all my clients are non-union. And I say that because I guess I'm a champion of the union, which is I never thought I'd say that, but I see what my competition doesn't do. The union's providing for people to have a future. It's providing for the families. We're giving them health care. They have pensions. They have annuities. We're providing for them. And
it's a great career.
most people wouldn't know we're a union firm. I'm sharing it, but you wouldn't know it. They don't have the rule book out and say, I can't do the X or Y because this says we don't operate like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
What union is the painting contractor under?
We used to have our own union in Harrisburg, and then the union itself, they decided to split the state. So we were acquired by Philadelphia.
Okay.
So we're District Council 21 in Philadelphia.
So that's where the office is.
That's where they are, yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a different component of a business is hard enough, and then this is a whole other
Right.
piece of it that you work with. But
And you're at WBE,
yes,
and you're also a B company,
I'm a B company, yes, B Corp.
which is fairly new, right?
It's been around, I'm thinking it might be 15 years now. So
I looked into it. I thought that it was pretty rigorous to get it.
it is. It is. And to be honest with you, I'm not renewing it. I obtained it and I stopped it. It's too much.
Well, and
But-
it probably doesn't add a lot of value to what you're doing.
No,
You have to evaluate that.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I learned, it helped me with certain things, like certain environmental components that we wanted to do. It's helped me. I did a lot of upgrades at the office, like with the electrical, using the lighting that shuts off when you leave, the automatic shut-offs. And, we converted from oil to gas heat, like different things. It helped us with it, but I'll be honest with you, I could have a person full-time working on this, and I'm not willing to
Not
do
that
that. That's
big.
not my core business.
Right.
So,
Yeah. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So you as a company, I know, care a lot about service projects and giving back to your community. And I know that you guys have a pretty extensive history at this point of doing that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did that get started? What does it look like? I know you have some big goals for 2024.
It's a couple different things. Every so often, I mean, if we hear about a service, a nonprofit that needs some work done, we try to do quarterly service projects to go in and paint something for them. If they need something else done, we're happy to do that as well. We have a big one coming up. It should be starting within the month. The VOPA, the Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania, the tiny home community that you're hearing about in Harrisburg. We were asked to donate painting of the community building. So that's what we're doing. My field crew really likes to help the military. Like at Christmas time, we went down to Indiantown Gap National Cemetery where my parents are buried, and every grave site gets a wreath. And it's I don't know if you've ever done it or been exposed to it. It's a very respectful process. Something else we do, decided leading up to our 100th anniversary, we were going to do targeted service projects. So it's been a 4-year plan. The first year we completed 25. I think it was more like 27, but the goal was 25. Then it was 50, 75, And this year it's 100. So last year we completed 88 service projects. And they can be, these aren't all going out and painting, obviously. We do a lot of collections. We go out and volunteer time. I'm just trying to get everybody in the company involved in it. And it started off, it was the office team, but now it's permeating into the field. And it's about the servant leadership. It's about giving back to the community. One of our company values is giving back, supporting the community that supports us. We wouldn't be around if it weren't for the community. And it's funny because that logo of ours, it's 100 years old, okay? And sometimes people say you should update it, you should do, I'm like, no, you don't touch it. But I did tweak it a little bit for our 100th anniversary. And if you've seen it, it's the same logo. And it says 100 thank yous, and then it has 1924 to 2024. That's the only tweak I've done on it, because this year to me is about thanking people. It's about thanking the community. It's about thanking all the different people that have worked at the company over the years. It's about thanking our customers for the confidence they've had in us. So
100 years, that's wow.
That's how we're celebrating. We're thanking people.
Yeah, well, I know you do a lot of board service. I mean, you're very active
Yeah.
in the community, giving back. So.
It's important. I think that's I'm trying to figure out, I'm in a place in my life where I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is. And when I shared the story about how I ended up coming back here and in the business full time because of my parents, I think my purpose at that point in time, it was to take care of my parents. But now I think it's the servant leadership. It's to teach people in my company, like, this is, yes, we all have needs, but you give back. You always help others. And it's really, really super important to me. And it's about, for me, the servant leadership, it's about the families. It's about the folks that work for the company and providing for their families. And, just, it's about giving back, helping our community, helping the people that work there, whatever, helping friends, whoever needs some help.
Right.
I think that's my purpose.
Love it.
I think so.
So you guys, you operate a obviously successful company, hitting this 100-year anniversary, which is a big deal for this year. In all of that, I mean, you're just getting started, right, Beth?
We're just getting started.
You're hiring, you're growing.
We are.
So what do your future plans look like? What are you hoping happens in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years of Ralph E. Jones?
It's all about giving back. And the example I want to set is that being in business isn't all about money. You have to be profitable, obviously, to stay in business, but it's about people. It's about service, gratitude. That's what it's about going
That's how
forward.
You live your life, I think.
I do.
Yeah. So you wrote a book, and you said you're starting to write a second one. Can you say what it's about? Or
Yeah. The first book was for our 95th anniversary, and with the shutdowns, it didn't come out till about year 97 or 98, till we started getting in people's hands. This book I'm hoping to have done in the next 2 months. It's a very simple book. It's called 100 Thank Yous. And it's just thank yous and some pictures. And that's it. I think I have 103 thank yous actually that I came up with. And I really, really was racking my brain on this one. I mean, thanking all kinds of people. I Googled and figured out who invented the paintbrush, who invented the roller, and just thank yous.
So some history in there.
There's a history. There's all kinds of things in there. Really interesting. Thanking Ralphie the cat. Thanking friends. It just. I know you understand it, Laura. Being humble, a life of gratitude and service.
Important.
That's what it's about for me. And that is truly how I operate the business. And my dad was very opposite of me. He was very financially driven, very successful. I'm successful in different ways.
Right.
It's a different business model now.
And you're starting a nonprofit
Yes.
The painter's daughter.
Painter's daughter.
So do you have plans for how you're going to do that or what you want to do with it?
Right now it's a trust. I'm going to be working with my attorney. I've decided just a few weeks ago, I'm going to convert it into a 501c3. And it's at this point, it's going to focus on 3 areas. And it's really the culmination of 3 lives, my parents and myself. Mm-hmm. My dad was a Mason. So he was very much supportive of the Masons, but also the Shriners Hospitals for Children. Mm-hmm. So it's going to support them. Another wing of it is going to support hospice interests. And I need to look into it a little bit further, but I think where I want to go with it is working with healthcare advocates, because it was really hard when my parents were sick. They both passed in Carolyn's house, in Linglestown.
It's an amazing organization.
It is, but the thing that's really hard, which I'm thankful that I had this opportunity. A lot of families, you don't know where to go. Mm-hmm. And especially being an only child and you're running a business and you have all this on, you don't know where to go. But I worked with a healthcare advocate, and I'd like to be able to help other families to have that opportunity. I think it really made the difference for me. And then the third area I want to focus on, and I already have the name for it, it's Ralphie's Fund. And Ralphie had lymphoma. He was supposed to live, and he didn't. And the doctor thought that they could help him. But I want to help provide funding for families that get a diagnosis like that for their animal. And I'm thinking it's going to start out just as cats. It may expand. Mm-hmm. But a lot of folks don't have that luxury, and I want to be able to help. And so I'm trying to find different niches that maybe are not being addressed in the community, but they're the areas that interest me.
And meaningful to you.
Yeah, and
I love the name, The Painter's Daughter. I love that.
Yeah, and it has to have Ralphie's Fund in it too.
And your parents both lived really long lives, right?
Yes, my dad was 3 months shy of turning 92, and my mom was 95. She lived for 8 years with chronic leukemia. We never thought she was going to outlive my dad. So, yeah.
It's a big hole, though. Nothing like your parents.
It's a huge void, but I'm so thankful. I had the best parents.
Yeah. So were you born and raised in this area?
Yes, I grew up 3 miles outside of Hershey, right along Route 39, out in West Hanover Township. And then my entire adult life, I lived in Hershey until I went through a divorce. And then I crossed the river. How about that?
You're one of those.
I'm one of those. The river doesn't
every day, right? Going from your house to your office.
The river doesn't bother me.
And where did you go to college?
Penn State.
That's what I thought. I
knew. Yeah.
Okay.
I went up there since from the time I could walk. I went up to football games with Dad, and I didn't apply anywhere else. That's where I wanted to go to school.
I'm not from here, and I've never been to a game, but I hear they're pretty amazing.
Well, we're going to make sure that changes next season.
Do you go?
I have tickets. You're going to go with me next year.
Okay. All right. I'd love that.
We will make sure we do that. You will love it. It's fun.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot about it from being here. And so.
Yeah.
So Beth, I would love to know, you've been in business really like your whole life to some extent, right? Yeah. You've seen it and been around it. It's a family business. What advice would you give to someone who's young in business, who's starting a company or been in it a few years, hitting some of those obstacles of young businesses, whether it's hiring or how you plan your finances or what kind of company culture you have, adding people to the team. What sort of advice in any of those areas or anything really about being a business owner or entrepreneur, what would you say? What advice would you give to younger generations who are attempting to do this?
I think globally, the best piece of advice I could give, 2 things. Listen to your gut and listen to your heart and be persistent. Don't ever give up, because they say in life, a lot of times people are this close to getting to where they want to be and they give up. Like, just don't give up no matter how hard it gets. Don't give up. If I would have given up during the Great Recession, we wouldn't be celebrating 100 years because it was really hard. Mm-hmm. I think you just have to be persistent with it.
During COVID, how tough was that for your business?
We were shut down by the governor. We were non-essential. We were shut down for 5 weeks. It was a challenge.
Yeah.
It was a challenge. And we do a lot of hospital work. So, you had to show proof of certain vaccines, depending on which hospital you're in. You had to wear masks. It was a challenge.
It was a challenging time.
It was.
So when you do work like in hospitals, that's off hours or it just varies?
It varies. It varies. A lot of
Sometimes your crews are working different shifts.
Yeah, it just depends on the owner and what they request. So
Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to ask you last question in the morning, right? So here we are wrapping it up. But if you could go back and start your career over with all the knowledge you have now today, what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Wow, I love that.
And you know why? Because everything I've shared with you, helping families, the individuals that work for my business, helping my parents, helping the community, I wouldn't change a thing. And it took me a long time to get to that point because there were days, when you're working in a family business and you're racking your head, you're like, why am I here? Why? This is, it's not easy working with family members. But I wouldn't change a thing. It's kind of come full circle for me now. And I'm very thankful. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Beth. We really appreciate having you on and hearing about your story. Thanks for sharing with us the background of Ralph E. Jones, Inc. and yourself and all the wonderful things you're doing, not just in business, but in the community in general. So
Thank you.
really.
Thank you
Beth.
so much for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
That was Beth Peiffer sharing her insights on commercial construction and business ownership. For more information on Beth, her company, Ralph E. Jones, Inc., or to learn more about SB and Lattice, click the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Deal.